today is?
It's our anniversary.
Anniversary. Welcome, guys, to episode 55, Behind Closed Doors with the Brookses. I'm Glenn P. Brooks Jr., and this beautiful woman sitting right here to my immediate left, youngest in charge. Y'all, don't she still like she in high school? Be honest, be honest. I should be the one. I'm getting all the complaints. Boy, you over there robbing the cradle. No, she's the cougar. I just want to set the record straight.
I'm not quite a cougar, but I am Cherie A. Brooks Jr. And today is our 26th wedding anniversary.
No, guys, listen, while Cherie gets things squared away on the tech side and make sure that we are able to be heard, y'all do me a favor, as soon as you come in, give us a thumbs up, chat with us in the chat, let us know that you see us, that you hear us. We are clearly broadcasting live, not from our studio at home. And so we're out of pocket a little bit. I just want to make sure you guys we're coming across loud and clear. Also, if you can, do me a huge favor. Put in the chat, where are you tuning in from? Looks like that's Sharon saying happy anniversary. Sharon, where are you tuning in from? City, state, city, country. Put it in the chat. Cherie, it's been 2 years. This exact date, 1 year ago, we renewed our 25th wedding vow renewal here in Panama at the Westin Playa Bonita. And it's crazy. This is our second anniversary that we spent, because our first one was when we were 24 years old.
Right, so the very first time we ever visited Panama was for our 24th wedding anniversary. We came with the co-parents.
Yep.
And,
shout out to the co-parents, Deidre and Darren, where you at?
Right.
And
we actually spent 10 days here in Casco Viejo.
Yes.
Casco Viejo is where I fell in love with Panama.
Mm-hmm.
It is the place where I got to experience the culture. I got to experience the peace that I talk about so very often. But this is what was like a defining factor for me for it. This is home.
Yeah,
this
absolutely.
This is where I want to be. And it's very reminiscent now to be back here. We come through here often since we've been living in Panama, but we haven't stayed back down here since.
Is this the first time we
This
physically
is the first time
stayed?
we physically stayed back
Since we were here
Yes.
2 years ago?
Yes, this is the first time.
You're right.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
come to visit a lot,
Right.
But in terms of staying the night. So yeah, we're in an Airbnb, and y'all, I'm telling you right now, one of the things that we fell in love with the fact is the old country of Panama here in Casco, and you get so much rich culture. If you're into architecture, if you're into history, if you're into, that kind of thing, Panama delivers that big time here in Casco Viejo, because it's not only the old, but it's mixed with the new, and it's super dope. So yeah, shout out to us for coming back and actually staying again. Y'all, at some point, your boy gonna find some property here in Casco and invest, because it's a whole situation, babe.
Right, and so this is a continuation of a tradition that we started probably 15 years ago, where every year on our anniversary, we would do a staycation. We would take some time, and it's not so much about the staycation, about the staying somewhere else, but we would take time to reflect on our marriage, to reflect on our life over the past year and the previous years, and really kind of cast vision for our relationship going forward. And so this year was no different. And so it's just in a very nice environment, if I do say so myself.
Listen, if I could jump in real quick, and I know y'all hate for me to interrupt Cherie, but I just had a thought, and I'm getting old. As you can see, my bursitis is checking in. I'm in pain, but I'm trying to push through it. But babe, when you talk about reflect and you talk about all those things, what's funny to me is that you and I we have great conversation around, like, how far have we come? You know what I'm saying? Where are we going, and then mapping out a plan to get there. And a lot of people look at what we're doing, and they'll put in the chat relationship goals, or I'm jealous, or don't rub it in. And we often, y'all, and I hope if you know us, you know that our hope is to inspire you to take action.
Right.
And I think that's what this reminds me of. We decided to, because of your mental health, to take action on what it would look like to put a plan together and execute on how we could change your environment permanently, so that you could achieve the best mental health that you could possibly achieve.
Right, and as we reflected over the past years in our relationship, that was one of the things we were talking about. What were the top few moments or choices that we made in our relationship over the past 26 years. And my number one definitely would be us relocating here to Panama for several reasons. Number one was for my mental health, definitely. That was a huge factor in that. But also, in full transparency, that was the first time we made a decision as a family based on my needs solely.
Ooh,
That,
you got to break that down.
Yeah.
I don't know if people really understand that.
So, having been married for 26 years, we've made several major choices together, life changes over the years, from purchasing our first home, from Glenn going into ministry full time, and in all of the, and us moving
to
Atlanta, and then moving to
Back to
Virginia
Virginia.
to be there to support my family.
Yeah.
And all of those choices were either based on the needs of someone else, or even were choices made based on what you felt like God was calling you to do.
Sure.
And my going along, and not going along in a bad sense, because I was in agreement totally, but it was not me being at the forefront
Absolutely.
of any of those decisions. So even us moving back to Virginia was to be there to support my family, to be there for my parents. It wasn't, I woke up one day and was like, ooh, I feel like God is saying, let's move back to Virginia.
Right.
I want to go to Virginia.
Truth be told, from the time we got to Atlanta, she wanted to go back. But
I wanted to move.
We were living in Maryland at
Right.
the time, but
Right.
this was
Right.
purposed, and it was to go back for your family. So the thing I hear you saying, babe, is that for 26 years, you can characterize, if we look at the top 5,
For 24 years, because we've been here for 2.
okay, for the last 24 years, prior to us coming here, what I hear you saying is that most of the major decisions that we've ever made had something to do with something other than you.
Correct.
Whether it was your family, me, the kids, like you could put, none of them were with Cherie's name at the top of that list.
Right. Yes, that's true.
Okay.
And I think that in marriage, there's compromise. There's always
Absolutely.
compromise. And I'm not in any way, shape, or form saying that, you should, you hear people, it's my time.
Yeah.
This, that, and the other. I'm not supporting that. But I think that there are seasons when, the needs or the desires of one party is going to take precedent over the other.
Yeah.
Just based on what's what's important
Yeah.
in that season. And it just so happened this season of our marriage, this season of our lives, we were in a position that my needs could be put at the forefront, and we were also in a position
That part.
to be able to do that, because those
part.
needs could have been primary any other time.
Yeah.
But we were not positioned, well, they were, but we weren't positioned to be able to make those type of adjustments, because we had to sacrifice a lot of things
Absolutely.
to be able to come here to do this.
Absolutely. If I could, baby, I want to digress just a little bit so people who are just popping in the room can understand. So Cherie and I are broadcasting live from Casco Viejo, Panama. This is the old town part of Panama. If you do your history, you'll find out that it's built like a fort. Casco meaning castle, Viejo meaning, I think that's village, or I know Antigua is old castle.
Old town.
Old town. You may hear, Viejo may be town, I'm not sure. But the bottom line is it's a mixture of old and new. The architecture here is very Spanish, European oriented. It looks a lot of French influences here, architecture. And when you think back and you trace back to how the Panama Canal was built, contrary to some popular belief, it was finished by the U.S., but it wasn't started by the U.S.
Correct.
And it dates all the way back to the early 1900s. But that history is represented here. As a matter of fact, in a month, about 3 weeks now, we're away from what we're calling the Reignite Experience, where we're going to be hosting about 10 couples that are coming here from all over the world to experience what it looks like to put your relationship first, to reignite, and to be all about you. So I wanted to say that when you chose, or when the decision was made for us to move here, it had everything to do with your mental health journey.
Right.
And if I take people back, and you've written about this in books that you've written and authored, guys, if there's anything you want to know about us, check the descriptions, the links in the descriptions below. Everything you want to know about us is there, books, resources, you name it, our coaching experiences and all the things. But babe, your counselor was the catalyst in a lot of ways that caused us to even think about that moving abroad may be necessary for you.
Right. And I've been in counseling for many years, but after the pandemic, I had a therapist that I had been with for probably about 3 years throughout the pandemic. And we went from me getting
Listen,
a comfort dog
say it
to
again.
try to help because my anxiety had gone
Y'all,
through the roof.
the therapist talked me into
And
getting
then,
a dog.
then we realized the comfort dog needed a comfort dog, so that wasn't the solution. But my
Yeah.
therapist was the first one to actually mention, had you guys ever considered moving to some place that maybe would be less stressful, where you could be in a more relaxed environment? And it just made me think back. I remember growing up hearing about people moving to Colorado because their child had asthma or breathing problems, or people would move to the Midwest for different reasons, for health reasons. But I didn't know anybody, number one, that looked like me
That part.
that ever did that, and that ever considered that. Because when I think about it, my brother grew up with asthma, severe asthma. We could have moved to wherever
place
to
where
be able to help him, but
not as much smog
most
and
people
all
in
things.
our community don't consider that
Say it.
as an option. And so it just really opened me up to, that's possible.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we move somewhere? Why would I stay in an area? And for me, because a lot of my trauma that triggered my anxiety and my depression was from my time in the military. Living where we lived in the Chesapeake, Virginia Beach area, we're surrounded by military. There are naval bases all around, so there were constant triggers for me in that area. So why wouldn't I look at moving somewhere, even if it was to move in the States, away from that environment?
That triggered that kind of.
That triggered
Yeah.
that type of trauma for me. And as we started looking, I realized I didn't want to move any place cold. There weren't a lot of places in the States that I
Babe,
really...
that wasn't an option.
No. I didn't want to go back north.
Jesus.
And there really weren't any places in the U.S. that I was like, ooh, I want to go live there. And so we started doing research, and I found Panama. And one of the places that I found when I was researching was Casco Viejo. I kept seeing these videos about this beautiful place and the architecture. And I love architecture. I love looking at, history,
yeah.
learning about history and things like that. And so it was very intriguing to me that there was this area in this country that nobody ever talked about.
Right. Well, let's be honest, not many people talk about Panama.
Right.
I mean, if I could just take a quick poll, how many of you guys, or what, growing up in the U.S., let me preface it this way. Growing up in the U.S., what was your association with Panama? Like, put it in the chat. Was it nothing? Because quite frankly, and by the way, when you chime in, we can see it on the screen. So it's popping up on the screen, babe. But the question is, like, growing up in the U.S., what association did you have with Panama? Was it nothing? Was it the canal? Was it Noriega? What was your association? Give 1 or 2 words, put it in the chat, because one of the things that Cherie and I found out is that, in our experience, it was just a lot of people just didn't even nothing. Right, exactly.
Absolutely
nothing. Like there was no matter of fact, when we mention the
think-
word Panama, the first thing that come up in people's minds
Is
in
that
the
a
US.
third world country?
No, that, or is it, you talking about Florida, right?
Oh, yeah.
Panama
Yeah.
City, Florida,
Right.
right? As soon as you start talking about Panama City, because of spring break and all those kinds of things, nothing. Christine, I see you. Nothing. And that was the challenge.
Right, and as I think back, and it's been many years since I've been in the public school system, but if I recall, there may have been a sentence
Right.
in the history books that talked about the Panama Canal.
Yep.
It was not a chapter. We didn't talk about what the U.S. did here. It wasn't that big, that influential. It wasn't that impactful that it's even in the history books.
Yeah.
I know for our son, he told us his when he thought of the only thing he knew was Noriega.
Yeah,
So he think we're coming to this
Traffic torn,
country,
third world,
where they shooting and killing people over drugs.
Right.
That's where we're talking about moving to.
Listen, and I appreciate you guys commenting in the chat. As a matter of fact, y'all are doing it so much that they're flying through. We don't have a chance to kind of, shout all of y'all out. But I will say, I see it. It's the history books. It's, whatever the narrative you had of here did not, let's put it this way. It certainly didn't come from a first person perspective.
Right.
You didn't know somebody who had physically been here that you could talk to and say, what was it like?
Right.
I will tell you this, when I was in the Army, I had a bunch of guys who I was stationed with in Fort Dix, New Jersey, who had been to Panama. And I remember hearing about this tropical location. That's when I realized it was Central America. I also realized then it was not an island, that it was an isthmus that actually connected North or Central and South America. So if you think of a map, to the west is Costa Rica, which everybody hears about, and to the east is Colombia, South America. So it's literally the stretch of land. As a matter of fact, you check your history. At one point, Panama was Colombia. I mean, it was
Right.
So we have two national holidays. The independence from Spain, and then the independence from Colombia. So and not in Columbia, Maryland. All my DMV folks.
As in the country.
Listen,
Colombia.
because when they started talking about back in the Reagan era, the Contras and this, that, and the third, and they talk Nicaragua and all that, and then they talk about Colombia. I'm like, who coming to Colombia, America?
Oh,
So this showed our ignorance, y'all. Hey, Lawrence, what's going on, David? Shout out to our breakfast and the word community. I see you guys chiming in. But yeah, y'all keep it in the chat and definitely let us know what your affiliation was or what your awareness was. Because, babe, when you started talking about, so let's sit down and let's watch some YouTube videos. There's this place, and at first it was Portugal. We
Right.
were really thinking
Right.
about Portugal.
Then I looked at the map and realized how far Portugal was from
And
the
what else
US.
did you notice about Portugal?
It get cold.
It get what?
It get cold.
What it do over there?
It get cold.
And that was not on the list. So one of the things, Cherie, listen, for 2.5 years during the pandemic, Cherie and I religiously would lay in the bed on Saturday mornings and watch YouTube channels, YouTube videos about people who had moved abroad, people who were traveling. And prior to that, we actually considered buying an RV
Right.
and living in an RV and bumping around the US because we were writing books, we were in our zone and all the things. And then life kind of interrupted and said, nah, this ain't it.
Right, and so when we moved from Atlanta,
Yeah.
was when we were talking about getting an RV. So our kids thought we were crazy
They
about getting
legit.
an RV. So they
Absolutely.
really thought we were crazy. when
What
we
two
were kids.
black people y'all age own RVs? Like y'all too
Right.
young for that.
And so we legitimately were thinking about purchasing an RV, living in that, and then being able to travel. But the more we thought about it, I was like, I don't really want to travel the U.S. And then, due to some circumstances that happened in our family, we realized that just was not feasible.
Right.
In order for us to still be connected with our family, to be able to support them. And so we moved off of that. And we actually, prior to moving to Panama, were looking at purchasing a home.
Yeah.
And actually setting, grounding ourselves in the Virginia area as much as, and I have to be honest, neither one of us liked Virginia.
Yeah.
We were there because of family.
Yep. Her parents were
But
getting up in
that
age.
is nowhere on
and
my
we
top
relocated for them.
20 places
At all.
that I want to live.
Let me say it this way, babe. No one moves from Atlanta to Virginia Beach or to the Tidewater area. I'm so sorry. Normally, it's the other way around because of options,
Right.
opportunities, and things like that. And we was definitely on that list.
Right, and for me, having, from my time being in the military, I lived in California for a while, I lived in Arizona, I lived in Alabama, then back to Maryland, then back to Atlanta. I knew, having been outside of that, number one, the DMV area, but even I used to travel to Norfolk quite often because my father's family, he's originally from there. And I knew I didn't want to be in that region, but we moved there because of family. And so I knew, well, if we're thinking about moving somewhere, it's definitely not going to be in this area.
Yeah.
As I said, and so when we started looking, I
Yeah,
like,
talk about that research.
I like warm weather.
Yeah.
And I had been doing research on quite a few things. So I was looking at different places to live. But there were a couple factors for me. Number one, I knew if we moved somewhere, it had to be someplace that was going to definitely be a benefit for my mental health, but also I was looking at our physical health.
Right.
And so many of you may have heard there are these blue zones throughout the world where, people just live a lot longer. And so I didn't particularly want to move to a blue zone. I wasn't, targeting one of those, but I was looking at what is the agriculture in these different countries? What is the food like? how readily available is fresh produce and things like that. And so Panama just kept checking all of the boxes.
Yeah.
And then also when we came to visit here in Casco Viejo, I learned that as bright as the sun is, the people are just as sunny. The people are just as friendly, they're just as welcoming. And when we came here, literally, I think I spoke 5 words in Spanish. I might speak 20 now.
We're working
on it. But people, I felt welcome. I felt like I belonged.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing for me as an African American woman was coming to a country where when I walked the streets, when I looked around, I did not feel like a minority. Everywhere I looked, I saw black and brown people, all different shades. Now, Panamanians are like African Americans. They come in all shades, from very, very light to very, very dark.
Absolutely.
And so you see all the shades, but you can tell that they're Panamanian. That they're, and they welcome you. You don't feel like you stand out.
Let me say this, babe. We didn't feel like we stood out. I have met expats who would say something different. But also will say this, it often boils back down to the mindset and how that person moved. One of the things that we said we was going to do, if we were to move here, let's go all in. Like, we're going to embrace this culture. We're going to dismiss how we move in the US, how our mindset works there, and we're going to absolutely lean into learning the language, lean into getting out and mixing it up with the locals. We have and still do create meetups that are available. Coming up this Saturday, we'll be up at Mika's Cafe, which is in the heart of San Francisco, and we'll be doing a gospel brunch meetup. It is open to expats, locals, and travelers, right? Our goal is to immerse ourselves in the culture. And I think that a lot of times when Panamanians or locals see people, black or white, that are not thinking like that, they come into this country thinking that it should run like the US, and it don't. And I'm gonna tell you this, in Panama City, it ain't because it's third world, because it's not. So I think that was the difference. And so Omar consistently reminds us, y'all ain't like the regular expats. Let me just, Omar is we hired him originally as our personal transport. He has become family, and we still don't own a car. And so, but the truth is, he's inviting us to Panamanian Christmases at his in-laws, and we're going away on trips and all these things, and they're over at the house, game night. We're playing games in Spanish. We got a Scrabble game that you can only use Spanish words, so we're trying everything. But he said most expats that he meets in his business, because he does run a sightseeing company, he said they ain't like y'all. They're the kind of people that want it the way they want it. They demand that you move according to the way they came from, as if you should, and we just wasn't giving off that vibe, so we don't attract that vibe.
Right, and I think, like you said, it was mindset. When we came here, even when we came in January, the very first time 2 years ago, we came here wanting to learn about the culture, wanting to learn about the people. We wanted to go on the tours that we wanted. We wanted to go to the neighborhoods. We wanted to see the real Panama.
Take me off the reservation.
I didn't want to see all of the touristy stuff.
Absolutely.
I wanted to see what it was really like here. I wanted to see how Panamanians really live. And Panamanians live just like in the United States. You have the lower income people, then you have very high income people. So there's a broad spectrum in different classes of living here, and we got to experience all of that. But in every environment, in every community that we went in, I felt welcome. I did not feel, that I stood out. I didn't feel like I didn't belong here, and I actually was mistaken as Panamanian quite a few times.
She gets mistaken all the time. First time happened right here in Casco Viejo. We were over at Unidos getting a cup of coffee, and we stayed here for 10 days when we first came, y'all. So there were some spots we found, fan favorites we went to every day. The breakfast was off chain, still is when we go there. This brother pulls up on my wife while I'm standing in line, y'all. Fellas, listen to me. Now, look, I'm from South Baltimore, and like Denzel said, I'm from around the way. I'm coming away with something. Here's what you're not about to do. And I don't care that you're an old man. Listen, I'm old too. We can do that. Bruh, I'm just like, yo, ho. So as I was paying attention, I'm starting to chuckle, because I'm saying, this dude thinks she's Panamanian. He ain't even seeing me. He don't even notice we're together, based on the way we were standing in line. And Cherie was grinning, trying to tell him, no habla español, and he just kept talking. And then he switched up and started using what little bit of English he had. But it's because, and this is what I will promise you, come visit Panama, and here's what I can guarantee you. If you're here long enough, you're gonna meet somebody that you swear
Is your cousin.
is your cousin, y'all related. I have met 3 different sisters that look like three different of my blood sisters, taking pictures and put it in our group chat only to say, hey, Star, here's your twin.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Kim, this girl looked just like you. So I just wanted to tell y'all, when you say black and brown and all the shades of the spectrum, it's here. And when we come across like we care about y'all, they come back across. That's reciprocal. They come back with, and I'm willing to to care about you.
Right. So Casco Viejo, to talk about here. So the things that I fell in love with here, number one, like I said, the architecture. The weather in Panama didn't help, but I also Casco Viejo has an array of every type of food you could possibly
Jesus, that's
want.
not good
If you are a
for
foodie,
us. Listen,
this is your spot.
you can lose all your money and no weight. Let me just put it that way.
The rooftop bar situation
It's a problem.
is to die for.
Listen.
There are places, I mean, on every block you're gonna find a good spot that you can hang out at night, go on the rooftop, watch the beautiful sunset, live music at a lot of them. Either it's gonna be live music or it's gonna be a DJ. You
Listen,
have
either
music.
one, the turn up is real. Let me explain something to y'all about Panamanian culture. They like black people.
And they like to party.
love their music.
They
you
love
hear
to
me?
party.
And they like to party. And last night, speaking of which, we pulled up on a band that was at the top of one of the rooftops.
We had a live
We had
band.
never been to this particular, let me say it this way. We've eaten ice cream in this building on the lower level. It's an ice cream shop.
Eating at the Mediterranean
We've eaten at the
level, on the
Mediterranean
second
spot
level.
in the same building.
But we had
in
never
the
been.
But we had never been to the rooftop. Y'all, it was a situation. And these guys was playing. As a matter of fact, the guy on the lead guitar, I said to myself, hey, I don't know where Jason Woods is.
Right, he was
Elder,
his twin.
This
was
was
his
your
twin.
little brother, bro.
Right,
I
right.
promise you. But you know, and anybody that knows Jason knows that he's a musician, and the faces he was making, y'all. I'm just saying, it's so random and it's so plentiful.
Right.
It's just an unbelievable way to live if you want to live like that.
Right, and so with the food, and then the as far as lodging here, like Airbnbs, like you see the place that we're seeing, and we'll show a quick little tour on the end of this so that you guys can get a view of or you may be seeing it now.
Yeah.
I don't know, a view of the Airbnb, but the Airbnbs here are exceptional. The hotels here, there are a lot of boutique hotels, there are
Particularly
hospitals,
here in Casco,
but then there
just so that you know.
are 4 or 5 5-star hotels here, and when I say 5-star, these are true
They spare no-
5-star
listen.
hotels
With US price,
where
5-star,
When you walk in the
5-star.
door, from the time
Yes.
you pull up and get out of your vehicle to the time you leave,
You
are
feel
catered
completely
to.
catered to.
So you get everything here in Costco, and it's just being able to walk around and enjoy the culture.
Speaking of culture, babe, you got to talk about the indigenous part. You
Right.
get to experience that too.
Right. So there's an area, one particular area where the indigenous and people come and they actually set up a marketplace.
Yep.
They have their
Super
area where
fire.
they set up and they sell their wares there, so you can go there and buy things that are handmade from the indigenous people to support them. And it's just it was everything I didn't expect, but I did expect
that's a
when
good
we
way to
got
put
here.
it. Yeah.
Now for me, I've never been to New Orleans.
I
So
have.
it was reminiscent of videos and things that I've seen of it, but if New Orleans feels like this,
And I promise you, walking the French Quarter, it feels like this. It's just a bigger version of that. If you've been to Cuba, I have not. Our kids have. They say that based on their pictures, because they haven't been here yet, they'll be
Right.
here in April.
Right.
They said, Dad, that's kind of reminiscent. Jay came through.
right.
My good friend Jay Cameron, who is got his own thing at Maximum Impact Travel. If you ever want to take a trip to the mother country, that's who you need to get
Yes.
connected with. But Jay came here. We set it up and had brunch at the house and the whole bit.
Right.
But we came down to Costco. He was like, "Oh my God, this is Cuba vibes all day
Yes,
long."
yeah.
So San Juan, old San Juan, Puerto Rico. It's just a huge city. Cartagena,
Right.
Colombia, same vibe. So it's just absolutely stunning.
Right, and for couples, like Glenn said, so next month, and actually in a couple of weeks, we're bringing a group of couples here. Every year we do a couples event, and so this year is the Reignite Experience. And the whole goal of that experience is to bring people to a place where they can basically escape from everything you
their
got
reality,
going on, but
yeah.
be in an environment that is conducive to romance.
Yes.
Be in an environment where, you know, you're going to feel like going out for a walk together holding hands.
Yeah.
Going to restaurants and being able to kind of steal away just the two of you and really get to spend time together. And that was the thing for me here in Casco Viejo, that I fell in love with Casco, but I also fell in love with my best friend.
Aww.
Because we got to spend some
Yeah,
time
for sure.
and just really enjoy ourselves.
For sure.
And just, it's something about the sunlight. It just makes you happy.
Yeah, no, it's funny because 2 years ago when we were here with the co-parents, Cherie was so happy, I thought the girl was smoking something. And I was like, yo, I mean, if you on something, at least share, because where I come from, it's a puff pass
No
kind of
puff, puff,
situation.
pass. There
You
was
ain't
no puff,
you
puff,
doing
and there was no
gummies, like
passing.
you done ate a brownie. Y'all, she was in this constant state of bliss, so much so that when we left, both you and Deirdre, my ex-wife, and her husband and I, Darren, we were like, what's wrong with them?
We did not
Them
really.
jokers was like job tearing up, like
Right.
real tears welling up. And I'm like, what's wrong with y'all? They didn't want to leave. And Cherie, I literally said to her, but babe, we gotta leave. And what was your response?
We ain't got to go nowhere.
We ain't got to what?
We ain't got to go nowhere.
Listen, when a black woman tells you we ain't got to do nothing, fellas, do me a favor, pause, take a break, take a deep breath, and ask the question, what you mean by that? Because clearly she knows something you don't. And what I realized was, all jokes aside, I was talking to the CFO of our company, and she knew some things and understood. She was thinking about some things, and y'all know how y'all women do. Y'all mapping stuff out. When y'all think about stuff, y'all start mapping stuff out. That's why women get historical, right? Y'all get this in your mind. You ain't told a soul, but in your mind, you mapping out how this could work and how you would move the funds and this, that, and the third. So Cherie had all of this mapped out. Your boy is like deer in the headlights. Like, what do we got a whole life back in? She was like, we can afford right now to never go back right now. I said, well, what about all of our stuff? Yeah, you remember Pablo? You met your shipping guy? I guarantee you he could ship that stuff if we even wanted it. But I'm gonna submit this. It's actually cheaper, because she did the research, to leave it there, have somebody clean out our space, and buy brand new stuff.
Right.
I was like, yo, okay. And now, fellas, y'all already know, I was all ears at that point. The whole ride back to Miami, that's where our first connected flight was. I was like, oh, snap, this is doable. Y'all, we got back, and 5 months later, we came back to Panama, and it's been where we have called home for the last 2 years, since June 2023.
Right, so I just want to encourage you guys, if you do come to Panama, come to Casco Viejo. Every time we come here, we discover new places.
Oh, my God.
We were walking around last night and we discovered a couple of new restaurants. We're actually going to try to find a friend of ours restaurant that's here in the city tonight or tomorrow, sometime this weekend. But come to Casco. It's a place you can come, you can unplug, you can truly just be.
Yeah.
And be with the one you love
Yeah.
when you come here, and just really enjoy the culture, enjoy the beautiful architecture, enjoy the beautiful people.
Amen. That's
And-
good. No, I said that because so be it. Like, stop with all the wishing, shoulda, coulda, woulda thinking, y'all. I'm serious right now. And Cherie, I need people to dial in and ask themselves the question, in 2025, what is the most important thing to you? I didn't say your family. I didn't say your job. I didn't say no. What is the most important thing to you? If you're married, sit down and have that conversation with your spouse and ask them what's the most important thing to them. And then ask yourself the question, how can we prioritize the things that are on that list? And how can we create a game plan to see it? There are people chiming in right now. I see my guy Lawrence. Lawrence has been here working on a half a dozen times because he is planning his next move. The Glovers, Team Glovers, we'll see them tonight at our little get together for our anniversary celebration. The truth of the matter is they just moved here 3 weeks ago. Tomorrow they move into their space because they had a plan. I could keep going on and on and on. The people that end up here, they do so on purpose. It is not wishful thinking. I'll be really honest, and I gotta say this. Panama was not on our vision board.
No.
We never prayed and asked God, Lord, where? No, that was none of that. What we did do, though, is that we lived our life in such a way, positionally, that we gave ourselves options. So that when the time came for her therapist to say, you may want to consider, we had the option to be able to pull the trigger on a plan. Because we had by that point been working on a lot of things, and that was something that was doable, as I said before, because Cherie was like not trying to leave at all.
Right, and I think that's an important point that you made, that oftentimes we get caught up in this cycle of working and having goals that don't necessarily meet our needs. It's just, this is what everybody's supposed to do. That's these are signs of what it means to be successful. But what we want to challenge you to do is to pull back that veil and look at what do you need individually to make you, and I don't even say want to make you happy, but make you feel fulfilled, that are going to meet your individual needs. For me, it was I needed peace. And
for me, I needed people.
Right.
So even when we moved here, y'all, Cherie was moving for the peace and tranquility. That wasn't on my list. I can do peace and tranquility for about a week and a half. I'm not trying to do peace and tranquility every single day, all day, every day.
Right, but peace and tranquility for me doesn't necessarily, I'm not isolated. It doesn't necessarily mean being isolated. It was pulling back from all of the stress, all of the triggers that were there for me. Peace, for me, peace of mind is being in an environment, being in a community with other people that are not on,
say it,
on some ish. That, you know,
we not about that drama
that
life,
have
y'all,
right,
on no level.
There's no drama, that have, you know, a shared vision, that shared values as us, and are moving forward. It was not being caught in that crab barrel and having to
we
deal
ain't sitting
with
around
all of
talking
that.
about people.
Right.
We're not doing none of that, y'all. And we don't live life through the prism of fear.
Right.
You know, we don't live life through the prism of scarcity. Cherie and I, for the last 26 years, have learned, because this wasn't something we started out with, how to live life through the prism of abundance. And that simply means that if God is who he says he is, and he will do what he says he will do, the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, and they that dwell therein. That means he owns it all. And if he's my father and I'm tapped into him, that means that I can go to him if I'm in right standing and say, Lord, can I have this? And he wouldn't give me a stone in return. But it does require me to do work. So I can't name it and claim it, blab it and grab it and talking about, ooh, me, and this is going to, we not wishing this thing in. Cherie and I did real work, and we position ourselves to be able to walk this out.
Right, and even when it comes to that, when we talk about abundance and people talk about being prosperous, prosperity is not necessarily about physical things. And I think that we have to change our mindset. I am prosperous in love. I'm prosperous in relationships. And if I have those things, the material things don't matter.
Yes.
And not to say that I don't like nice things, because I do, but I don't need them and they don't drive me. What's more important to me is having relationships with healthy people, being around people that I care about, having that love, being able to have a healthy relationship with my adult children, with my grandchildren, with my family, as healthy as possible, and being able to just continue to grow and adding value to other people. That's what, for me, and I'm speaking of me, for me, that's where I feel like I'm prosperous. The rest of it is it's now you need money to live. I'm not saying that you don't need those things, but those are not as pressing to me. I don't need a 400,000 square foot house anymore.
4,000.
I mean, 4,000, 400,000,
some hotels are 400.
Y'all,
4,000.
Y'all know what I mean. I don't need a 4,000 square foot home at this phase of my life. I don't need that.
Let me find out somebody believe in God for a 400,000 square foot house.
Somebody maybe.
Jesus,
and if you are, I'm not saying
I'm not mad at you.
That may be your desire, but for me,
as for me in this house,
that was not something I've had things. I've done all of that, and I realized at this phase of my life when I realized I needed peace. It wasn't about the things.
That part. Can I chime in real quick? When it comes to things, I'm gonna give you guys a pro tip. When you're doing your research about a place that you may want to relocate to, whether that's in country where you are or abroad, let me give you a tip. You can win by what you don't spend. I'll say that again. If you look at your situation in the US, many people find it very difficult to keep up because inflation is outpacing your paycheck so fast that it makes no matter. Listen, I know people that make $500,000 a year
Struggling.
that's struggling. And quite frankly, we live better than they do. And I'm not digging on, listen, but, and our quality of life went to another level when we moved here.
And I think that's key.
And I think that that's what I'm talking about. It's not that we have nicer things than they do. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying we have peace. We have people. We have community. We have time freedom. I don't drive on purpose. When I sold our truck, it was because I didn't want a car payment on something that I wasn't driving. My truck was 3 years old and it had less than 20,000 miles. You know why? Because we work from home. Right. I wasn't going to recreate that situation here and own a truck that I don't drive. It is cheaper for me to have a personal transport or take an Uber. That's far cheaper than a car payment. So I need you guys to understand it. In full transparency, you know, our household income dropped significantly in terms of what we had to pay out to maintain our month-to-month living expenses. It dropped significantly just by moving. So for us, the winning wasn't gaining. Sometimes the winning is in losing or walking away from stuff.
Right. And that's good. And I think that when you think about where does your peace come from? What is your place? What do you need for you to have peace of mind? What do you need for you to have an improved or a better quality of life? Whether that's you moving abroad, whether that's you, even staying where you are, but what are some things that you can eliminate or you need to change in your situation in order for you to have a better quality of life and find your paradise where you are?
Right.
Because I think it's possible, but I think we have to be willing to sometimes look at our individual situation and really sit back and say, so I don't need this, I don't need that in order for me to have peace.
Right.
Because oftentimes we are chasing after something that causes us to stay on that hamster wheel. And I have to be honest, there's very little peace found on that hamster wheel.
It really is.
Because it's stressful, you're always chasing after something. What if you could get to the point in your life where you're no longer chasing after something and you're just being?
Cherie, you know what I just thought about? How many people listening to us, whether live or in replay, has found peace on the hamster wheel? Put me in the chat. I'm not saying that there's none, but I promise you that's rare. You're gonna have to figure out how do you slow your personal hamster wheel down so that you can get off and go rest. And I think that I personally, because coming to Panama was not my idea, I'm supporting my wife because I woke up one day and had a revelation. At the time, it was probably 18 years in that you had a nervous breakdown. And she wrote about this, so this is not private. And when my wife was hospitalized for 10 days in a facility where they took your shoestrings, and it was illegal for you to leave once you get in there because they got a duty to provide. Here's the thing that God spoke to my heart. She has prioritized everything else but her. What would it look like for you to pause, get off this hamster wheel called ministry at the time, and consider her? What would it look like to prefer her? And that's when we started our journey. That was back in 09 to me becoming, because it was right around the time we lost Zuri, 09, 2010. And that's what began the whole RV thought. It was, how do we prioritize us and walk away from stuff so that we were no longer slaves to it? And so when the opportunity came to start our own business, we did it. When the opportunity came to write the book, and we've written 10 of them. You can check the links in the description below and find out all about that. When it came to starting, an online personal professional development community that allowed us to work from anywhere in the world as long as we have a good Wi-Fi connection. Like, all of those things played a part, y'all, in the time and what we needed to do when it came time to do. And I think a lot of people, Sean, live life outside of the margin. Anybody who's ever coached with me knows I talk about this a lot. When we live outside of the margin on the paper is there for a reason. It is not for you to write in it. because it makes everything look jumbled. The lines on the paper are there for a reason.
Right.
It is not for you to just write over them because it looks jumbled.
Right.
But we live our life without those margins. And so therefore, when we decide to do something, we can. Not because we don't want to, but because we haven't positioned ourselves to.
Right. And so we are going to jump off here because it's our anniversary.
It is our anniversary.
We just wanted to
Do y'all
share.
want to see a quick little tour of this place, or do we skip that part? Put yes in the chat. Just a quick little, we flip the screen and just show you what it is. It ain't all fixed up. You mind? I mean, I don't know.
I don't mind.
But we ain't got no me's in the chat. So at this point, I guess they didn't. Jeremiah 29:11 said, "See, yes."
Okay,
Let's do it. You can well, you
Yeah, I'm
want
gonna just do it
flip
this way. No, I
Okay.
don't want to flip it because
Okay.
I don't want to mess up stuff.
Okay.
So this is our beautiful Airbnb that we're staying in. We actually did a smaller unit this time. We're actually in like a studio apartment. I got it.
Okay.
And you want to open the door? I'm gonna take them outside real quick. And so, yeah, so this is one of, I mean, there are a ton of places here in Casco Viejo that you guys can stay and get to. It's locked. Okay.
I'll do it.
Okay. I'm gonna let y'all get a little glimpse outside real quick. It's gonna get noisy, so just hold on for a second.
Hold on.
Hold the phone. So this is where we are in Casco Viejo. We're on one of the main streets. And so it's a lot of traffic right now.
That's the La Compañía right behind
So this hotel right here, the tan building, oh, sorry, took my mic. That tan building right there is La Compañía, where we're actually doing the couples event in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And then these are some places right across the street from us.
This is the Museo Canal, which is the Panama Canal Museum. Really nice spot there in Cherie's background. As a matter of fact, the guy that owns the coffee shop that you guys see us working at a lot in our neighborhood, he is now building, that's his car out front. They're actually putting a new coffee shop in that particular museum. It's called Siete Granos. And you guys definitely want to check that out when they get up and running in about a month.
So guys, we just wanted to give you guys a little glimpse of Casco Viejo. And
I'm sorry, I should have closed that.
yeah,
Okay.
so I showed them the room already.
Okay. All right. Well, guys, listen, we wanted to just kind of give you guys a quick little check. Did y'all like that? We are a little bit out of blocking, but it's okay. Did y'all like that? Okay, here's what I need y'all to do really quickly. I need you guys to take time, subscribe to the channel if you have not done that already. Cherie and I have a bunch of things going on in 2025. If you're in this live feed, if you are on the replay and you're interested in investing in Panama, I need you to check in because we're going to be putting together a Zoom call soon about just people who are thinking about that. We're going to bring some professionals that are here to kind of help you understand what the ins and outs would be if you wanted to go that route, whether you lived here or not. The good news is, because we have some certain advantages that we're going to be able to take care of that may benefit you if we kind of come into this around a collective effort, if you will, just sharing information, making sure that you're not worried about certain things because you don't live here. So that's something. Breakfast and the Word every Saturday morning at 8:30 for my people who are believers and you are looking for a spiritual community to connect with online. We got you. A lot of people in that community are here in Panama. Some are not, but we do things on a regular basis to foster a spiritual growth and development type community. We want you guys to be involved.
Right, and with that community, every first Saturday, as Glenn talked about the meetup, every first Saturday of the month here in Panama, we meet at Mika's Cafe in San Francisco for a meetup. If you're in town, if you're in the country,
That's where you
and you
can
want
catch
to come
us.
and visit us, that's a great way so you can get to meet us and meet some of the community. Also, throughout the country and other places, there are meetups going on from our community. I think Lawrence posted earlier that there's going to be a DC meetup in Springfield, Virginia, and you guys at Bob Evans. But you can hit up Lawrence Beasley if you're in the DMV area and you want to attend that meetup. Our community is global, so we have people in different areas. And our goal is to help people to build community wherever they are.
Amen.
And so if you're in that area, please reach out. If you have not joined the Breakfast in the Word community, check the links below. in the description so that you can do that. Also, like Glenn said, just look at the description below. We got several links to different things.
Yeah, our immigration attorney is in that link.
Right.
Omar's information is in that link, so on.
Right, and also I'd like to encourage you guys, we appreciate you guys subscribing, but also join the channel. As a member of the channel, you'll be a day one member, and we provide behind the scene videos.
Yep.
You get to join a personal WhatsApp chat where you get to communicate with us directly to ask your questions, anything about Panama, anything relationship based.
Yeah.
You can ask those questions in that chat, and so along with other benefits that come with that. But we appreciate you guys.
We
for
really
following
do, guys.
us.
And our goal really, although we're not relocation specialists, is to help you find the easy button. And so sometimes it's just about connecting you to someone that we know, that we do business with, and or we know the easy way to get to something. And that's what that whole community about. I also want to talk about, somebody asked about booking a tour here. Cherie does consults with people. It's called Taste and See. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm a concierge. I offer a concierge service where I can help walk you through and give you recommendations on the best place to stay based on what your needs are, help you to determine what type of tours and things like that, help you to arrange those tours and things of that nature. As Glenn said, we are not relocation specialists. I'm also not a travel professional,
Right.
but I can help guide you because I am here in country. And one thing I will say about Panama, things change here rapidly.
Rapidly.
So you may have seen somebody post online about
Just
an
'cause it's
excellent
on
restaurant or
Instagram,
something. It may
don't
not still be in
necessarily
business
mean
today.
they're still in business.
So I always advise somebody, if you're going to any country, to try to contact someone who's in that country that can verify information that you see online.
Think boots on the ground to show you around. Y'all, that's about all we got for y'all today. We're gonna go and enjoy the rest of our 26th wedding anniversary. Looking forward to a dinner that we're gonna do tonight with a bunch of people who we're building community with. And I just wanna let y'all know that you cannot get to where we are, which is a place of significance, by yourself.
By yourself.
Because we all need
some
help. Y'all be good, and let's check in next week for breakfast. Behind closed doors. We're gonna put together probably a video montage
of our trip.
this today, so that you guys can physically see all the things. Thanks, Latondra. I think that is, or Latoya. I can't see it from here. Latana. Thank you so much.
I hope I pronounced that correctly.
I hope I pronounced it. I try. Yeah, I'm trying. So, but yeah, next week, make sure that y'all subscribe to the channel, because what we're gonna do is put together a video, kind of a walking tour of Casco Viejo, so we can physically show you pictures, restaurants that we've gone to, sat down with, the rooftop experience, a bunch of things. That way you can kind of get an idea. But at the end of the day, y'all already know what time it is. Can't get to no place of significance by yourself.
Because we
all need some help. Y'all be good, and we'll talk to you soon. Now, how do we turn this thing off?
Oh, gosh. Where's your phone?
We don't know how to turn it off. Hold on.
Hold the
Hold the phone. Ah, there we go. Nope, that ain't it. Try to scroll down. We old, y'all. We don't broadcast live on our phone very often. Nope, that ain't it. This is funny. This is hilarious. That's not it for sure. Scroll top to bottom back. Nope. Scroll bottom to top. Nope. X up and top left. No. How about that?
All right, guys.
Y'all be good. We gone this time.